Chapter 58, Power of Rainbow-like Animal Spirits. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. In the royal palace under the June Mountain, there was a royal family's martial arts field. Swish, swish. Before dawn, the princes and princesses had been practicing their martial techniques there. Yunwu Commandery Prince had 9 sons and 13 daughters in total. Once they obtained the sacred mark, it was compulsory for them to practice at the martial arts field every day. Zhang Yuochen had never been there before. He was dragged by the 9th Commandery Princess to practice with her today. The martial arts field of the royal family was indeed 7 to 8 times bigger than the Lin's and was completely paved with 1-meter thick white slates. Inside the field, princes and princesses could practice with each other and the royal guards who had similar cultivation. In addition, a general at the Earth Realm would perambulate the martial arts field every day and instruct the princes and princesses. Young Commandery Princess, when you practice the wind-chasing sword technique, the most important part is to have a solid step as well as a smooth sword technique. Raise your left hand a little higher. Look at me, the sword is as fast as lightning. While the general was instructing the young Commandery Princess on sword techniques of the inferior class at the human stage, he also demonstrated for her as an example. The adorable, 6-year-old young Commandery Princess was holding a small sword in her hand. It seemed that she had made some decent progress on learning the wind-chasing sword technique. Having seen the 9th Commandery Princess and Zhang Yuochen, the young Commandery Princess's eyes suddenly brightened. She ran to Zhang Yuochen with her sword in hand and asked, "Are you my 9th brother?" Zhang Yuochen looked at the 9th Commandery Princess, nodded and said, "Do you know me?" "Of course. You got first place in both the year-end assessment and the yellow board. You're the genius of martial arts. According to my master, you have already reached the advanced stage of sword following the mind. Even he himself is incomparable with you. He wants me to set you as my role model to work hard. My dear 9th brother, can you teach me how to practice the sword technique and reach the realm of sword following the mind?" Although the young Commandery Princess was little, she spoke clearly. She didn't sound like a child at all. Zhang Yuochen smiled and thought she was adorable. He asked, "Who is your master?" She pointed to the general who clad in an armor not far away as she said, "My master is General Huosi, one of the 10 royal guards." Zhang Yuochen observed General Huosi, who was already walking towards them. He bowed to Zhang Yuochen and said, "Your servant Huosi greets the 9th prince." Huosi was classified as a warrior at the Earth Realm, superior among the royal guards. His salute to Zhang Yuochen clearly showed that he respected Zhang Yuochen a great deal and dared not to neglect him. No other prince or princess could enjoy such treatment from such a general. No wonder he was such a strong warrior at the Earth Realm. Zhang Yuochen could feel that his aura was like great mountains and seas. It was rather unfathomable. Zhang Yuochen nodded. Zhang Yuochen could figure out Huosi's cultivation level with one glance. Zhang Yuochen's arrival caused the entire martial arts field to turn lively. All the princes and princesses stopped practicing and gathered around him. The 5th prince said cynically, "It is said that your cultivation has reached the completion of Yellow Realm and you have obtained a 10-win streak over the warriors of the Yellow Board. I'm interested to know how powerful you actually are. I wonder if my 9th brother can impress us?" The 6th prince sneered and said, "It's said that you've defeated Shui Wenxin, who ranks the 3rd of the Yellow Board. Everyone is saying that my 9th brother has an unfathomable power that can hold against 10,000 men. I wonder, are you more powerful than warriors of the Black Realm?" The young Commandery Princess and all the other princesses showed eagerness in their eyes. They'd heard too much about the 9th prince recently and wanted to know if he was as strong as was said in the rumors. "Yuochen, let me see your techniques. Show our brothers and sisters your capabilities." The 3rd prince stepped out from the crowd and smiled. The 28-year-old 3rd prince was wearing a gold-gilt silver robe. He smirked and looked at Zhang Yuochen with his arms crossed. Among the 9 sons and 13 daughters of the Yunwu Commandery Prince, the 7th prince had the highest talent. The second highest was the 2nd prince, then the 4th prince, the 5th, and the 9th Commandery Princess. The 7th Prince, who was not even 20 yet, had already enrolled as an internal student of the Yuntai Suzerain. Both the 2nd Prince and the 5th Commandery Princess were also students of the Yuntai Suzerain. The 2nd Prince was an internal student, while the 5th Commandery Princess was an external student of the Suzerain. The 4th Prince had also become an external student of the School of Martial Market last year. The 3rd Prince stood opposite Zhang Yuochen. He had attended the examination of the Yuntai Suzerain 3 times and unfortunately failed all 3 trials. He was not convinced that everyone said the 9th Prince was a genius of martial arts who could pass the exam of Yuntai Suzerain. Thus he wanted to prove his power by defeating Zhang Yuochen. The 9th Commandery Princess said irritably, "Third brother, you've cultivated to the mid-stage of the Black Realm while my 9th brother is still at the completion of the Yellow Realm. It doesn't mean anything if you defeat him." The 3rd Prince frowned and said, "My 9th sister, what do you mean? I'm just afraid our 9th brother will become arrogant after he gets first place on the yellow board. I want to practice my martial techniques with him. Besides, it's not humiliating if he loses to me. After all, losing to his brother is also a kind of training." Clap, clap. Suddenly, applause could be heard coming from outside of the martial arts field. "Well said, 3rd Prince." Lin Shenyu and Lin Ningshan entered the martial arts field. Lin Shenyu and Lin Ningshan greet all the princes and princesses. Although he bowed towards the princes and princesses in the field, there wasn't any sense of courtesy in his eyes. Instead, they sneered. The 9th Commandery Princess frowned and said, "Lin Shenyu and Lin Ningshan, this is the martial arts field of the royal family. You are not allowed to be here." Lin Shenyu took out a waist token and said, "According to the Queen, Ningshan and myself are granted to practice martial techniques with all the princes and princesses here." Lin Shenyu then put away the waist token and chuckled. He said, "Regarding what the 3rd Prince has just said, it does make sense. My cousin, are you afraid of losing? Is this why you dare not fight? Or do you look down on the 3rd Prince and think he's not a worthy opponent?" Having heard what Lin Shenyu said, the 3rd Prince looked cold-blooded. "My 9th brother, are you going to fight with me?" Or like Lin Shenyu said, "You look down on me and don't want to fight?" Zhang Yuochen looked around and said, "Well, you've already put things up. I'll fight with you." The 9th Commandery Princess shook her head and said, "My 9th brother, don't be stupid. Our 3rd brother wants to defeat you to enjoy a sense of accomplishments just because he couldn't enroll in the Yuntai Suzerain." Zhang Yuochen chuckled and said, "9th sister, don't worry about me. I have a plan." Zhang Yuochen's cultivation had improved considerably after a day's practice. His strongest force could reach the strength of 92 balls. There was a chance that Zhang Yuochen would defeat the 3rd Prince who had reached the mid-stage of the Black Realm. Seeing Zhang Yuochen had agreed, Lin Shenyu showed a cunning smile. He thought that Zhang Yuochen was hard-edged and it would be very funny to lose his faith by the hand of the 3rd Prince. A smile emerged on the 3rd Prince's face. He said, "9th brother, be careful. Don't lose by my first technique. Otherwise, you'll lose the reputation of the yellow board." Brute Bull Fist. What the 3rd Prince had displayed was Brute Bull Fist, a mid-class martial technique of the human stage in the military. There were altogether 10 levels of the Brute Bull Fist. After having practiced the first level successfully, a warrior would obtain the strength of 1 Brute Bull. The second level, the strength of 4 Brute Bulls. The third level, the strength of 9 Brute Bulls. Similarly, at the 10th level, warriors would be able to unleash the strength of 100 Brute Bulls. In the military, a lot of soldiers had practiced the Brute Cattle Fist, but no one could make it to the 10th level prior to reaching the Black Realm. At the moment, the 3rd Prince had only reached the 9th level and burst out the strength of 81 balls. Although Zhang Yuochen had reached the completion of Yellow Realm, his power had surpassed a number of warriors in the same realm. Even if he didn't demonstrate the Dragon and Elephant Prajna Palm, he could bring out the strength of 81 bulls. Zhang Yuochen's palm collided with the 3rd Prince's Brute Cattle Fist. Boom! This was a neck-to-neck matchup. Zhang Yuochen fixed his sleeves and said, This is the strength of a warrior at the mid-stage Black Realm. This is just the beginning. The sacred mark on the third prince's globula suddenly brightened. He activated his genuine chi and injected it into his blood. A reddish spiritual blood came out and surrounded his body like a rainbow. Power of rainbow-like animal spirits. Only warriors at the mid-stage of the Black Realm would be able to do that. The deeper the color of the rainbow ring, the stronger the warrior was. However, the third prince's rainbow ring was rather light, which meant that he had just reached the mid-stage of the Black Realm. The signal of the initial stage of the Black Realm was boiling animal spirits. The signal of the mid-stage of the Black Realm was power of rainbow-like animal spirits. Last but not least, the signal of the advanced stage of the Black Realm was soaring animal spirits. The power of the third prince had doubled since he'd activated the spiritual blood. Every fist he dashed out was equal to the strength of 100 bulls. The 10th level of the brute bull fist. Boom. The third prince had shaken Zhang Yuochen fiercely with one mere fist. And this is the strength of the genius of the yellow board. The third prince laughed wildly. He kicked up his heel like a brute cattle and dashed out another 18 fists towards Zhang Yuochen. Every fist made Zhang Yuochen retreat a step back.